Yeah, hi. My question has to do more with policy making as opposed to foreign procedures. One of the requirements you have said that you ask individuals to bring in while applying for visa is, you said they have to bring in a police record.
I'm sorry?
They have to bring in a police record among other documents. So does it have to be squeaky clean? The reason I'm saying this, you could have someone who just goes out and protests against certain against something, then they get arrested. Next thing you know, their record is no longer clean.
Right.
So we understand that freedom of speech and human rights stuff are aspects that the U.S. government supports. So how do you reconcile the two in this case?
To be honest with you, no. The police record doesn't have to be entirely clean. We look at, there are certain things that if you do them, you're probably not getting into America. Like if you commit murder, we're not going to let you in. But if you were a minor in possession of alcohol once, you're probably going to get in. We're probably not going to care. And there are certain crimes that are considered political crimes that the United States doesn't believe should be crimes, and we don't tend to hold those against people if the crime is entirely political. If you are demonstrating, exercising basic human rights, I mean, you can't, assassinate someone and claim it was a political crime. But, if you're exercising sort of like the inherent right to free speech, freedom of conscience, you get arrested for that, you're probably going to be asked about it in the interview, and they're probably going to want to do more investigating. But it's not a bar to entry to the United States, either in terms of a tourist visa or an immigrant visa. You should just be aware that if your police record comes back saying something other than clean, it's going to require investigating. We're going to have to take some time to look at it, to consider the totality of the circumstances, to get a better understanding of what happened. Was it a serious crime? Was it what we call a crime involving moral turpitude? So crimes involving moral turpitude are things everyone should know are wrong. And it doesn't matter which country you're from or who raised you or what your religion is. You know these things are wrong. When you commit one of those crimes, you're usually not going to get a visa. But when you commit a youthful indiscretion, a long time ago and you haven't done it, since, or you do something that's a crime in one country but is not considered to be a crime in the United States, and it's entirely of a political nature, we're going to investigate and see what happens. But no, that is not something that we just say, you exercised your right to free speech to say you were unhappy with particular conditions, and as a result you can never go to America.
Hi, my name is Zach, and I have two questions for you today. First question, for people who has 10 years visa, and when they come to United States, usually they're allowed to stay 6 months. When people ask for extension for 6 months and they prove it, and when you leave the country, is there a specific time you have to be overseas before you enter to United States?
There isn't, I can't tell you you have to be out of the United States longer than you were in the United States the first time, but what the Border Patrol agents are looking for, and the problem is I can't answer this question definitively for you because I'm not a Border Patrol agent, and they have complete control over this, is they want to see that you're not living in America on a tourist visa. So, if you extended because you were taking care of a sick relative, and then you go home for 7 months and you want to go back for another month to the United States, if you're showing them that you really do live somewhere else, you don't live in America, that's what the Border Patrol agents want to see. You do have to convince them of that. I can't tell you that there's a magic number that is always going to work. But like I said, what you have to be able to present to them is, I really live in Morocco. I came to the United States, I stayed for a long time on this trip because my daughter was sick or my brother was sick or something like that.
So you have to come up with a good excuse and you prove it basically.
Yeah.
And I have second question, one more question for you. I'm in the beauty industry, I own a salon and spa. And now as we see in our first generation in the United States, we're looking up in next 2-3 years, we're expecting a lot of weddings. And the problem we're expecting here that there is a lot of stylists, they cannot perform the hair and the makeup as we have it in our culture in Morocco. Is there a way we can bring any stylist with immigrant visa, or there is a certain limited time where they can comes over here and they can go back, or we have to do sponsor through the lawyer? So
you're probably going to want a lawyer to do, you know, an age petition. Again, this is something that the Department of Homeland Security deals with and not us. You're going to have to show that there is a specific need for a particular skill set which is lacking in the United States. And you have to demonstrate that, and then your lawyer will petition the Department of Labor and the Department of Homeland Security. One of our audience members, in fact, has gone through this very long and elaborate process because there's nobody in the United States who can, you know, like create, you know, Moroccan mosaics or, you know, Moroccan plasterwork, and the Metropolitan Museum needs that. So, you know, it is possible to do this. If you're what is called an e-treaty investor in the United States, you can also petition. So we have a category of visa that people come to the United States on, which is an e-treaty investor, which shows that you have a certain amount of money that you have invested, that you plan to invest in the United States. People who come on an e-visa are able to bring over in E2 status employees who can provide specific skills that can't be found in the United States. So if you're not in the U.S. as an a treaty investor, you're probably going to want to you're probably going to have to get the lawyer and petition the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Labor to get people.
You have to go to the lawyer and sponsor it.
Yeah.
There is no specific visa you can get.
Just there is a clarification.
Mm-hmm.
There's just clarification. As of January 2010, Morocco was taken off the list of the H-2B visas.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to apply for it, it's more complicated.
It is more complicated, and that's why you have to petition the Department of Homeland Security. Is you need an exception to the fact that Morocco is no longer an H-2B visa country. So we've added to the paperwork, I'm afraid, which I know nobody really likes doing paperwork with the federal government.
Thank you.
Sure.
Ibrahim Nashikh, first of all, I want to thank Morocco Washington Club and Embassy of Morocco, and thank you for coming here and for your presentation. My question I have two questions first. First is about the organizations, non-profit organizations that are here in the US.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they invite artists or speakers and they send to them, and they all related with time, you know, like you have a convention or you have an event that you're planning and you inviting someone from Morocco. It might be artist, it might be just a speaker.
Right.
And how the visa for these people and how long it takes, you know, how you get it, and is there any specification, or just are they the same as the other visas?
Sure. If it's a short-term thing, if they're coming to attend a conference, or, you know, we just recently had near Dallas something called World Fest, where Morocco was the sort of showcase country. And we had maybe 50 people come in, and they did all sorts of stuff, you know, including henna designing. We had musicians, you know, we had all sorts of artisans coming. We had, you know, pastry chefs and cooks and all sorts of people coming to go to World Fest. And they were able to travel on a B1, B2 because, you know, it was a short-term project, and they were being paid, you know, they weren't being paid salary in the United States. If all you're paying for is the person's expenses, then they can travel on a B1, B2. You can go ahead and pay for their plane tickets and the hotel and you know, like incidentals and per diem and that sort of thing. If you pay them a salary, then they need to apply for, you know, you need to petition for a particular type of visa depending on the category of the performer, and you can find more information about that that's going to be specific to the artist or the performer on the USCIS website. But what we looked at for something like World Fest was if someone came and they said, you know, I'm a musician, I would ask them, what instrument do you play, and how long have you played, and have you gone to any other, you know, performances abroad? And they would just tell me about what it is that they do. And that's how we did the interview. So it's not a terribly complicated process. It doesn't take any longer than a regular visa You know, if your purpose of travel is a little bit different because you're going to, you know, you're going for a performance or you're going to show your art, you just want to bring some evidence of what it is you do. Like if you're an artist, if you can bring us photos of the art that you do, or if you're a musician, you know, if there have been any articles written about you, or, you know, if you can tell us a little bit about what you perform, you know, that's what we're going to want to see. We just want to sort of make sure that we don't have people who are, you know, claiming to, you know, to be traditional Moroccan musicians as a way to go to the United States and abuse a tourist visa.
My name is Khalid Jabbar, and thank you again. I don't know where to start from, but I have too many questions, and I'll prefer if I ask you a question, when you answer it, I'll move to the next one. That way it'd be quick. Just to finish his question, if we have a singer coming in and the band, usually you guys offer visa for the singer, not for the band. It's quick to answer.
I have not personally done that. I have not said the singer can go, but the bass player is out. Generally speaking, you know, if the person is legitimately going and they do what they say they do, the only thing that you know, like one of the things that we might look at in that situation is, you know, is this person otherwise qualified? You know, if the person hasn't been playing for very long or they've never done this before, that might be the reason why they're denied a visa. But I don't, you know, like I don't assume that, you know, the singer is key, everyone else can just be forgotten. You'll find someone in the United States to do their job.
Okay, another question. People with expired visa. Never mind. Okay, if they lost their passport, either with the 10-year new application.
They do have to submit a new application, and this raises a very good point that I want everyone to know. Lost passports are a very big security concern. This is something that we're very concerned about. I've seen a number of cases where someone's passport is stolen and then used for nefarious purposes. So what we really need to see is please report a lost passport as soon as you can. Report it to the Moroccan authorities and report it wherever you lost the passport. Because that way if someone does something terrible with your passport, we don't blame you for it. So that's the first thing that I think is incredibly important. The second thing is you have to apply again. I know it's kind of a pain to do the paperwork again, but you know, we don't have the visa anymore. So we need to get another application because we have to issue you a new visa. So we still have to have all the information as to why we issued the visa, you know, and what we talked to the person about when we issued it. So, you know, generally speaking, if you've established a good history of travel, though, and you've traveled to the United States and used a visa properly in the past, that's very that works very much in your favor in future applications. But like I said, please report lost passports as soon as you lose them.
Okay, last question. From from tourist visa, if somebody comes here as a tourist and he like it here or he wants to go to school here, can he convert his visa to student visa while he's here, or he have to travel back to Morocco and deal with you guys?
Well, here's the deal. You can ask DHS, but they usually say no. You can ask DHS a lot of things, but you have to do what they tell you. So if they tell you, no, go back to Morocco and apply, then you have to go back and apply, which is usually what they tell students to do. They usually tell them, apply to the school, get in, get the I-20, go back to Morocco, go to an interview, and, you know, get the F or J visa that you need. I know that it's, you know, sort of a hassle to do that, but it's typically what they ask. It is possible to convert status, but like I said, that's not at all in our control. That's something that the Department of Homeland Security decides.
You don't cancel the 10-year visa. You don't cancel.
No, we don't cancel. A student can have both a student visa and a tourist visa because you should use the visa for the purpose of that visa. So if you are an artist with extraordinary abilities and you have one of those visas, you can also have a tourist visa to use when you just want to go to California to go to the beach.